I want to talk a little bit about the SpongeBob Musical percussion book. The musical itself opened in 2017 and ran until 2018. It received several Outer Critics Circle and Drama Desk Awards and was nominated for 12 Tonys. There's so many different musical artists that contributed to this show. Sarah Bareilles, John Legend, T.I., Panic at the Disco, Lady Antebellum, They Might Be Giants, David Bowie, Cyndi Lauper. It creates a really varied and wonderful musical experience that's as colorful as the characters' costumes and sets. The percussion book is a lot of fun to play. In its original iteration, it was written to not only be the percussion, but also the foley sound effects for the show. However, in its current form, it is only published including the percussion parts. The foley is not actually indicated in the score. Everything is left up to the actual creative team to come up with whatever they want the foley to be. People who want to produce the show may ask, is the foley part necessary? And the answer is yes. Yes, it is absolutely necessary to use a Foley artist to do this show. The Foley work is such a fun and important part of the production and definitely should not be skipped. That means if you are a school wanting to do a production, have a student do it. If you are a community or professional theater, then you need to allot money in your budget to pay an artist to come to the extra rehearsals and learn the blocking and learn the choreography so they can provide the sounds. Also be aware that none of the digital sounds are provided from the original production. So with all that said, let me talk about the percussion book a little bit more. As always in musical theater, setup is very important for navigating how you're going to play your part. And that depends on a lot of different things, including what instruments you are going to be using and what the setup of your pit is going to be like. I think it's important to know that playing the percussion book does require electronics. You do need to have some kind of ability to produce all of the keyboard percussion sounds and timpani. I myself have a mallet cat with built-in sounds, and all the sounds called for are found on the mallet cat. The mallet percussion is pretty straightforward and shouldn't give you too much trouble. The only song you might need to work on a little bit is Not a Loser, where you have some 4 mallet vibe parts and some xylophone licks. There are also some non-pitched percussion sounds that you need. You could also trigger them from a MIDI controller, or you could program them onto something different like a sample pad. I myself use my Yamaha DTX Multi-12 to do that. Where it's probably used the most is in the song When the Going Gets Tough. You have vinyl scratches, electronic percussion, ah sounds, and reverse cymbal. The conga parts don't require any complicated technique, but not all of the parts are notated, so just use your best musical judgment when deciding what to play. If possible, you want to have the guiro mounted close to the congas because there is a moment where you're asked to play both at the same time. I also ended up with 3 different shakers in the show. Each one was utilized in different songs depending on kind of the style and vibe of the song. BFF starts with an acoustic guitar and has kind of a singer-songwriter-y feel to it overall, so I decided to use the egg shaker. For Simple Sponge and Bikini Bottom Reprise 2, I decided to use a soft shake. Then for some of the bigger, louder songs, I ended up with the metal tube shaker. Having a triangle trigger isn't necessary for the show, but it definitely makes it a lot easier, as there are some quick switches between triangle and other things. I think particularly of the finale song, Best Day Ever, where you have to play triangle, timpani, and tambourine. You have some options when it comes to the tambourines that you use for the show. Personally, I decided to have a mounted tambourine and a handheld tambourine. Which one I used just depended on how much time I had to get to and from the instrument. There are a couple places in the show where it's entirely likely that the cast members will end up with tambourines. Because of this, I decided to sometimes use the mounted tambourine so I could get a little more volume and projection rather than just the handheld. There's a really fun gag with Squidward in the show, where 3 times he tries to perform his Tentacle Spectacle the musical. Each time it gets a little faster, and he gets less of it out before he gets cut off. So I used a low-pitch woodblock for the first one, a medium woodblock for the second, and a small one for the third.
Nice round! Heads! You know what to do!
There are 2 kind of free-for-all moments in the percussion book where you really just get to make up whatever you want. And that's in the start of Act 2, Poor Pirates, and also in the Act 1 song, Money. For Poor Pirates, I decided to utilize all the instruments at my disposal. But for Money, I decided to use higher pitched or metallic sounds to be more reminiscent of coins. The percussion book does call for concert bass drum. Unfortunately for this run, they weren't going to be able to mic the concert bass drum, so it wasn't going to have the oomph that was necessary. I decided to use a concert bass drum sample on my multi-pad instead. It's really important you always try to honor the score, but do what is best for the production you are doing. Sometimes that means instrument substitutions, or playing things electronically that we would rather do acoustically. Also calls for toms and a snare drum. These are actually meant to double the drum set in several moments through the show. For instance, during Not a Loser, there's a Krupa-like buildup in the drum set, and the percussionist joins in to just fill out the tom part a little bit more. In the Act 1 finale, Tomorrow Is, the percussionist plays snare drum along with the groove happening in the drum set. Overall, it's a really incredibly fun show. The songs are catchy, they're different. I think you'll have a lot of fun. There's so many wonderful